Hey, what's up, everybody? Rob Marzullo here, Ram Studio Comics. Welcome back. And this is live stream episode 3. And today we're going to cover, unless we segue into something else, we're going to cover texturing and cross hatching, things like that, just shading, texturing, things of that nature. So I'll wait for some people to kind of join in, hopefully. And until then, I will just do some scribbling like I always do. Let's scale this down because I want to give anybody that comes in the opportunity to see what's going on here. Alright, so what can we shade? Bricks are always a good one, so I'll just work on some other brick designs. And I don't know if this one will be a good topic or not. I thought it would be a good one just because, I'll get the random comments about this, but also it's just one of those things, like there's so many different textures to try to do and try to worry about that I think that this is always something that's good to practice. So what I'll generally do when I do stuff like this is scribble out like a bunch of, different base shapes, base designs, and then I'll just practice rendering over top of them, adding shadows, textures, whatever. Just to test it out, can anybody hear me? Testing, testing, 1, 2. Anybody? Oh, good. Thought I was all alone there. You guys were scaring me. Okay. So what? Let me pull back and show you what I've got so far, and ask you guys if you like this topic. Appreciate that, Big Dave. So this particular video is going to be on texturing, and you guys can throw in like, hey, try to texture this or try to draw that. But does texturing seem like a good topic for you? So it's like kind of cross-hatching, texturing, rendering. I don't know which phrase to go or term because there's so many terms for it. Does that sound all right? And if so, what would you like to see rendered? Good deal. Like, would you guys rather see, oh, desert? Okay. Yeah, that could be kind of tricky, but I could try to do that. So desert, and just kind of the way the sand would look, or the sand dunes, or something like that. Any kind of post-apocalyptic. Yeah, that's always fun because you got a lot of like rubble and debris and stuff like that. Oh, got it, Mario. Just didn't know where to comment. Yeah, it's kind of a weird structure the way this all works, but I'm trying to get used to it myself. Okay, so I'll try that. I'll try like laying out some desert effect, and then maybe throw in some post-apocalyptic buildings in there or something. I don't know if I'll be able to detail all that really effectively, but I'll at least try to throw a little bit of that in there and get some questions going. Wastelandish, yeah, I like that too. Okay, so the way I do any of this stuff, I start off, I'll add a layer. Say I'm doing like he mentioned something like desert and post-apocalyptic, okay? Which I'm obviously having trouble saying that word, but so, generally with landscapes, I'll start off with like bigger, these are like supposed to be sand dunes or, and then they'll kind of get tighter as they recede into space like that. So that's my perspective shot of something like that. And then maybe some bigger mounds in the background, something like that. And, you can get on a little sun or whatever. But, oh, sorry, trying to read some comments here. Oh, you did, Kolvich says he's at a figure drawing course today for the first time. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Very eye-opening experience, definitely. So let's see. Post-apocalyptic. Not great at this stuff, but what I would probably do is like just these chiseled, broken down walls. So a couple just barren walls left standing. Always probably see like some of the I-beams off to the side or something. And just flip these walls back and forth. And just debris. Just lots of little scraps and pieces of stuff. I think stuff like this works out well if you do a lot of size relation stuff. So you get a few things in there like the beam that you can clearly tell what it is, and then some boards or paneling or whatever it is, and you do everything else by size relation. So you could have the texture of the bricks to again define size and perspective, something like that. And then as far as texturing goes, it's really just varying up dark to light, so you figure back here is probably where the light source is, something like this. Forgive my horrible circle there. Keep in mind you could just use that tool right there and get a perfect circle, but we're not going to worry about that for now. I'm a beast, or I'm the best. That's funny. Felice says, man, you're a beast, or the best. I don't know if he meant beast or best. I guess I'll take either, so I appreciate that. Thank you. So yeah, like throwing in these little bricks here. So here's our light source over here, so I would perceive that there's a bunch of shadow on this side. So I'd probably almost immediately fill some of this in to give some depth. Let me get in a little bit closer. I guess I don't have to do it from that far out. I actually like working on these thumbnails from a distance for as long as possible, because it you can take it in as a whole, and you can you'd be amazed at how much information you can get in something like that from a long ways out, and it seems like you can see flaws a little bit better if you stay out from a distance. So lots of shapes of shadows, lots of little random texture type stuff, since it's going to be rubble and debris. Oh, what's that comment? Hey, Rob, I was curious, how long do you think it's a reasonable amount of time for one person to do all art for an 80-page colored graphic novel? Holy crap. Yeah, so you're saying all the art, pencil, inks, colors, or digital paint, or whatever you're talking about? Complete all the art piece for that? And that's a long, to me, I mean, I guess you just have to gauge it by how many pages you can do a day. If you're at 1 page a day or whatever your speed is, and go from there. But yeah, that seems like a pretty intensive project. So, especially if it's a complete art book and it's not, areas where you can kind of throw in some wording and save yourself a lot of space. But it's a complete art book, then yeah, that's a lot of work, I would say. I would think that probably, I usually function at about a page a day. If I digitally paint, I could probably go faster because there's just ways in digital painting where you can really speed up your workflow. Where line work, it seems like there's only so fast you can really move. I mean, there's definitely guys that can move really fast, but that's usually why they adopt a anchor and a whole kind of group effort thing going on, because of all the time it takes to detail this type of stuff. But with digital painting, there's like little cheats and little tricks. So, are you digitally painting it, or are you doing typical illustration on it? Yeah, William, I'll try to get to texture and some rusty metal as well. Let me get a little bit more of this one done, so I can kind of address this one. So yeah, so I would do like this little, stuff like this, and then I'd also get in here and do like a lot of shading to kind of speed up the process. You don't really got to over detail like I'm doing on some of these parts. Then obviously you don't want all just rubble, so you probably do like the rest of a building, or maybe a part of a building that's still standing. Maybe this was the debris from the one next to it. And then, since it's kind of this dune, sandy stuff, you could probably get away with having like just pieces sticking up out of the sand. I think that would look kind of neat. So again, always keeping the light source in mind. Doing some stuff like this to kind of reinforce that light source. Yeah, it's digital paint then. So yeah, I would go for, you know, it's a hard mix, but I would probably try to go for 2 pages a day if I had to do a project like that. And then if it was 1 page a day, then you just got to make sure that you're being compensated properly. I mean, unless this is just your own baby and you're doing it like that. But sometimes you got to speed up the artwork to make it worth the budget of the project. I don't know what you're talking as far as numbers go like that, but those all play factors in the equation kind of thing. Yeah, I'd probably shoot for 2 pages a day if I could. No less than 1 page a day. Yeah, so I mean, it's taking you a while, but you know what? It's your baby, and if you have to work alongside with that, I face this issue with my Blackstone comic. I'm on book 2. It's almost done, but it's taken forever. But I have to, I have to work. I'm a working artist, so as much as I'd love to just sit around and draw Blackstone all day long, I have to mediate that with providing for my family and knocking out jobs. Sometimes they're design jobs, or not even comic jobs or storyboard jobs or whatever. So, yeah, don't beat yourself up over that, because just, keep working towards it. And then if you can ever move enough books and get enough funding or whatever happens, then rejoice in the fact that you'll be able to sit around and work on your own deal, which will be fantastic. Yeah, Dave's making a good point there. Do as much as you can to reuse and set up templates as much as possible. Definitely. Especially, I recycle my art as much as I can. I even have a folder called Rob's Clip Art. And I basically save elements of things that I know that I can reuse at some point, and that's where they go. And then the hardest part, I think, is categorizing them and making them accessible quickly enough, so you don't just go, I'll just redraw it, But yeah, he made a good point. I would definitely do that. It does help. There's things like I made not to plug my brushes, but I made a series of brushes just not too long ago, and I made one that was a brick brush, so that I didn't have to sit there and always draw these little brick patterns. I could just use that brush real quick. So there's ways to do that as well. And that's where I was saying, like, how digital has a few kind of cheats where you can kind of really save time. Digital painters can get really fast. I mean, there's people out there that I've heard of people chiming out a 22-page book in a week. Yeah, and the other point that Dave's making too is, yeah, simplify your work. Sometimes it's best to do that because we're our own worst critic, and we think everything's got to be perfect and every brick's got to be in place and all this stuff. And sometimes you can simplify things and save yourself a tremendous amount of time. And in all reality, people still will love the end result. So you got to figure out where that is. And I'm not saying just crank out crap work and hope everybody likes it. That's not what I'm saying. But simplify in areas that you can. And the other way to test that is do some simplified process of your work, submit it out there. And if it gets a bunch of likes and it gets a bunch of shares or whatever you're after, whatever shows you who likes what, then, you might be pleasantly surprised. You might be overworking things that aren't necessary. But yeah, definitely don't just skimp just to skimp, And I could have used the perspective tools to make these little annoying bricks quicker as well. So I probably could have saved some time right there. And you could do little tricks like this where you fill in this whole back wall, pretty dark or whatever, crosshatch or whatever you're going to do, and then just select a light color and then actually fill in the bricks in white. Or, not all of them, just a couple here and there. Oh yeah, no problem. Anything I can do to help. Oh, so as far as the sand, 'cause I feel like I'm sitting here just scribbling away on this building that, probably as I'm just ranting, I'm just, just scribbling away and making this pretty ugly building. Yeah, I'd probably do like a big chunk busted out of this too, just to make it look more apocalyptic. Maybe some smoke. Maybe it's a fresh bit of destruction. So yeah, so like the sand right here, I think probably the way I would do this is kind of sweeping lines. What I try to do is whenever I'm texturing a variety of things, I try to give them each their own style of line weight or texture or whatever, just so the brick walls don't look like the sand doesn't look like the clouds, things like that. I notice that a lot where artists will do these complex scenes, but then they kind of give everything the same feeling. So I would say just look for that. Try to, use a variety of line weights, texture, even the way that you do the bends and the lines themselves can make a big difference on what it looks like to the viewer. And then obviously things that are closer are going to be like maybe a thicker line weight up here. I really don't know how I would do sand other than just just like that, like just little wavy lines and maybe a few little dots. I don't know. Oh, thanks, Pillowhead. I appreciate that. Yeah, I seen that you bought a copy. I'm pretty stoked about that. Yeah, I hope everybody gets some true value out of those courses that I'm doing, the video topics and things on my Gumroad. I was pretty happy a few people picked up a set or picked up that and then the brushes and things like that, so it really helps out. So, and there would be some wispy clouds, and I'll angle them just a little bit to make it look different. And then the other thing I would do is, I'd do more of these buildings, but I would do them in like silhouette. And just, the further away things get, the less detailed obviously you got to make them. So I try to do as much of that to finish out the scene. Maybe just like some little silhouettes of, broken up structures or whatever. Oh yeah, there's brushes for, I haven't included any paint brushes yet, but I've got brushes for inking comics and things like that. But yeah, I'll be including some paint set brushes as well. I'm working on those now. Yeah, so does that kind of give you guys some ideas for how to texture this type of stuff? Do you, you got any more ideas for what else to, or we're supposed to do like a rusty metal, right? You guys want to try that one next? How about space texture? You can try that. Let's see. Yeah, sorry, the delay's kind of funky. Like, I never know how quick to respond to this stuff. Okay, so, yeah, let's just get rid of a few of these momentarily. And as far as space, really, the way that I do space is I'll just define, like, the shapes of the planets first. So, say we got, like, a couple planet shapes here. Do something like that. Yeah, and I wish I was using Manga Studio, because this, I could show you guys the brush I made for Kirby Crackle. It would be perfect for this. But for some reason, I can't seem to get Manga Studio to work with my my live stream, which sucks. But I'll get that figured out. Yeah, I might be able to swing that, Dave. Also, the grass and then the maybe some clothing. I'll try to get both those. All right, so basically, I would define the planets first. Use layers to my advantage and do whatever. I like to do that spacey looking effect where it looks like I don't know, like a break in the darkness kind of thing. You generally do it small to one side and bigger on the other. You just do this kind of randomized shape, something like that. And I made this brush for Kirby Crackle because you could just sit there and save yourself some carpal tunnel. But basically, you just do like this, different size stippling and dots, and you get this like nice little break of spacey looking junk. And that's why I made that brush, because it does take a while to do this. I mean, I rather do it by hand when I get the time. But, as we were talking about a little while ago, when you're trying to pump out a book or do something, hurry up and finish so you can spend time with the family, whatever, you got to think of all the little workarounds you can do. So this looks cooler, I would say, by hand, but it's just so time consuming to do it this way. Now what you could probably do too is up the brush size and then just dab, use a bit of a darker brush. You probably save some time doing it like this. I mean, this would be the way that you would ink it anyways, if you didn't have a brush preset to do it. And then make the brush really large so you can just kind of dab it real light to get the smaller dots. And then every now and then throw a big one in there. It kind of looks cooler. So anyways, you do this all over and you see how long it's taken, so it's like ridiculous. But that's one effect that you do with the whole space science fiction thing. And then the other thing is, practicing like different planet textures. This is another thing that you can save. I would really recommend saving this because, let me see. Drawing a blank here. Where's my selection for the circle? Right there. So you do something like this. And like I'm saying, once you take the time to do some of these planets, you might as well save them because they're somewhat repetitive. Oh yeah, good point, Dave, on the jitter effect. That is a good idea. So these planets, I'll usually do a few of these, just some messing around or whatever. And let me scale up the canvas and rotate it with the way that I'm pulling the texture. So I usually go like this and just kind of really go haywire with it. You see I'm trying to put a little bit of curvature in the effect because I want to make it look like it's somewhat wrapping around the planet. And I'm using varying levels of pressure to get some thick to thins. So something like this. And I try to do these as fast as possible because again, they're time consuming. So it's funny how when you do space, it doesn't seem like it would take that long until you do about 4 or 5 planets right next to each other. And you're like, you don't want them all to have the same effect. So you try to create different planet textures and, you can color them all differently, but that would look pretty boring. Or maybe you're like me and you're working in black and white comics, so you can't even do that. But you do something like that, and you always got to remember where your light source is. So maybe there's, a light source to the left of this, so you're going to get a dark spot over here. Maybe something like this. And really you could pretty much draw like a circle right there, but I'll generally just do it like this. And then you can flip back and forth from dark to light. And then you could, picture the light source wrapping around the planet a little bit. So yeah, you kind of just keep doing that, and then that would be like one planet. I'm just gonna fly through this a bit because they do take a while to get fully detailed. So then over here, I'd probably do one where it's more. I'll usually do like one like this, and then I'll do one where it looks more like a moon, almost like a deserted planet or whatever. So then I grab right here. Oop. How do I adjust this? Well, apparently I never used the selection tool like this, so. So something like this. And then on this one I would do like, let's see. Thanks, Dave. Appreciate that. How would I draw Wolverine? Yeah, this one's more going to be around texturing and stuff. Yeah, I might be able to get energy blast or lightning in, but probably not Wolverine on this one, John. Just because I'm trying to go in with these live streams with a base idea, so we don't jump to so many things because it gets time consuming real quick. So yeah, so to texturize this, say I was going to do like a rocky kind of terrain planet, I could throw in some circle shapes like what do you call it? Not cavities. Cavern. Oh goodness, you guys know what these are. I'm drawing a blank here. Can't walk and chew gum apparently. Crevices. Wow. Anybody? Help me. Craters, yes. Nice one, Heartless Arts. And Nova Sama 420 comes in with Crater. Nice. Yeah, I don't know what I was thinking. They are craters. They are caused from alien ships smacking into the side of them. Right? I think that's how they're made. Goodness. So anyways, I'll draw these base little crater shapes, and then I'll do like the little texturing off and just little textures, I guess, little lines and stuff. Just reading this real quick. Have you ever considered getting together with other independent creators to do some collaborative work? Perhaps establish a shared universe or something. Yeah, I mean, I have and I haven't because I'm basically trying to get my book done and out there, and then I work as a YouTuber obviously, and then a storyboard artist and all that. So there's just not enough time in the day for me to collaborate on any other projects. I've actually had to turn down a couple comic gigs because I just don't have the time, which I'd love to, but it's there's only so much time in the day, and I've already started so many projects. It's pretty hard to add anything else to the proverbial plate. William asks, do I take inspiration from anyone? Yeah, I mean, I get inspired by a lot of 90s comics guys that I grew up with that got me to where I wanted to draw comics. I talk about that a lot in my videos, like people like Todd McFarlane, David Finch, Jim Lee. I look at all their work and inspired every time I see it. Dale Keown, Joe Mad. I mean, there's just tons of guys that are out there that their work's just so impeccable. It's like, yeah, every time I look at it, I just immediately want to draw more and longer and better and all that stuff. Yeah, I'll do Rust next. Sorry about that. Which I don't even know how I do Rust, but I'll try to figure that out for you. Yeah, thanks, Mario. Appreciate that. So I would basically just keep doing a variety of textures, and I'm kind of floating through this because I see everybody commenting wanting me to draw something else, so it's kind of hard to dedicate a tremendous amount of time to it. But this is essentially how I do it. So I throw in these little basic sketch lines first. I try to define a little bit of shadow in there, like if this was a crater right there, and then I just do these little breaks of lines, and just slowly try to pull it out and then picture where that texture would go on the planet like that. I do some little crosshatch lines like this. And it's funny you asked who some of my inspirations were, and I remember this particular thing that I'm drawing right now. Always pulled this from McFarlane. He would do these awesome moons in Spider-Man or Spawn or whatever, and I was always so impressed with the way the guy did the moons. Of all things, he could draw everything really amazingly, and I'd see the moons. I'm like, man, it's so cool the way he did that. And I remember he'd always do like this line and this little star like this, or I don't know what it was, but little glare off the moon or whatever. So it's funny that, and then every time we draw from that, we're kind of transported back to where we were first inspired to draw that particular thing better. So it's pretty neat how that works out. And then I would do like some shade lines like this, which Farlane would always do on his as well. So I'm pretty much just copying his stuff right now, if anybody's wondering. Let's see, in this video, will this video be saved for YouTube? Leaving work to go home, and we'll miss the rest. No, you won't miss it, Eric. It'll be saved. All the videos that I finished from live streams go right to my YouTube channel. So no, you're good. So I would basically repeat what you see here. I would add some little stars. Gotta have little stars, little dots, and then I would fill this in with black, and then just come back with a white pen. I remember when I first figured that out, even with traditional, I used to draw around every star like a dummy. And then one day I saw an artist using a whiteout pen, and I thought, well, that makes a lot of sense. And I started filling all this in with black and then coming back with a whiteout pen. Yeah, saves a lot of time. And in digital, you ain't got to worry about that. You can just, fill it black and do little white dots. Yeah, Photoshop's got selection tools like that. Mario, is that what you're saying? Wish Photoshop had the tool to do the circle like you did. Photoshop's got a lot of selection tools. Filled in black will look great. Yeah, I would, but it's just gonna, it's gonna take too long. I want to get to a couple of the other things here. We're already at 35 minutes. So let me jump over to the Rust. Hopefully that gives you enough of an idea how you could work through some of those planets and space kind of thing. So now Rust. that's a bit tricky for me. I don't know why, but I'd probably even pull a picture of that. So what I would do is say I had something that was supposed to be rusty, right? So I'll do a shape. Everything starts with the shape. And let's just say it's a, I don't know, rusty blade, piece of metal, something coming out of the ground. So it's something like this. Now to do this like it was rusty, I don't know that there's a particular way I would do it other than I would just grunge it up a bit. So I would start by adding in some shading. And whenever I try to make something look grungy, I just mess it up. Basically, I just kind of throw lines wherever, haphazardly and no certain direction. And then I vary it up. So I'll do like some dark spots. I'll do some little like, I don't know, just little imperfections in the material. And I always picture like if I was looking at something all dingy and rusty that there would be like these streaks in it. So I guess I would try to get some of that in there. And I think it would really come down to putting a lot of like little just imperfections in something. So like one that you see in comics a lot of people do is they'll do this darker line like this and then some little thin shade lines like that. It almost looks like there's a dent or a ding in it. So I'd probably do some of that. So let's see what else. And obviously the edges got to be all filled with imperfections as well. But yeah, I guess I don't know how I would do rust other than a lot of this little grit stuff. I just keep doing it, and then I'd probably back it up with the color too. You know, like I think rust would be easiest to display with making something look gritty and grungy and dirty, and then going back with the color and using all those browns and earth tones and reds and painting it up even further to really push the look of it. But I guess if I was making something look rusty, I would just keep doing this. I'd just grunge it up. So hopefully that helps. I don't know how else I would. I really don't know how to do rust. You got me wanting to go practice something now because I don't think I do enough rusty stuff to really know how to do it. So that's where I would pull from reference, and I would grab something like that, and then I would study it in more detail because it shows me that, all right, I'm missing something there. Now, are you guys, let me check something here. Yeah, Photoshop plus rust texture, there you go. Are you guys still seeing this? You just saw the thing I created? Because I'm looking at my live stream screen and it's showing me the wrong screen. Did you guys just see all that? That's weird. I wonder why it's doing that. Okay, topic, bucket, grass, clouds, energy. Okay, yeah, so grass I can do pretty fast. So, yeah, I don't know why my stream window's showing me. I guess it doesn't matter as long as you guys can see. Just chime in if something goes haywire that I'm not aware of. Okay, so grass I just generally will texture like this. So I do like these little thick to thin lines. Like this. Vary up the consistency of them. Do little gaps and breaks. And then as it gets further away from the viewer, they're smaller, obviously, and then less. Well, I guess they'd be more frequent, but they would just be stipples as you get towards the distance. The other thing is to, like, as you do the shape of the grass and the distance, to really break up the lines like this. And then the other thing is doing grass with like negative space. People to research for this are like Bern Hogarth. He does really neat like negative space drawings, or David Finch does it really well too. So you can like grab the white pen and go back in there and do some negative shapes inside the larger dark shapes. So say up close you had, I don't know, let's say that, oh, you want to see evenly fresh cut grass? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, fresh cut grass would just be the same thing, but it'd be more straight across, and you're just going to stipple more evenly. So it's the same thing. I wouldn't try to draw every blade of grass. I would just hint towards the look of grass, and then I would color it in. And then stuff like this, where say you got a tree up close, we'll do like this, I don't know, tree with a gnarly root or whatever. And you could do like, say, some heavy shadows. Like this. And remember to always do like dark to light with everything you do. It'll make things pop out more. So you have like some grass on this side of it, and then on this side you can do, just fill this in more. You can do like some of the texture from the tree right there. And then you can come back with white and do some of the grass on this side. And this is the part I was mentioning about negative drawing. So whenever you can flip-flop the dark to light like this, you can really get an extra layer of depth by doing things like that. And you can come back in here and bring that texture in a little bit further if you want to. No, I use a tablet. I'm using a Wacom Cintiq. I always said Wacom, but people have been checking me on it, saying no, it's Wacom. It's just like, man, I think Wacom sounds way cooler, but it's Wacom. So yeah, I use a Wacom Cintiq 22. So yeah, so something like that, and then you just keep going back and forth. Like if you want a more defined ridge line of the grass, you can start dark over here. Maybe you do some other stuff off in the distance. But it's really going from dark to light that really pushes the depth of any scene, and then color comes through and really, helps you sell it. Yeah, Wacom. I know it's like it's like it was invented by some old mafioso kind of guys. The Wacom Cintiqs. No, it's Wacom. Yeah, that's what I thought, but I've been checked on it. Or Wacom. I don't even know what you're implying there, but all right. So yeah, so like that. That's basically how I do that. And if it's evenly cut grass, I would just do it more even lines and make less variation in the grass shapes there. So is that good for that one? Can we move on to the next one, please? Somebody help. Let's try. What was the next one, Dave? You had that little list. What was it? I always struggle with the texture that waves make when they crash, like the foaming white stuff at the bottom. Yeah, I'm not doing that. I struggle with that too. We'll have to leave that for yeah, let me jump on the lightning one, then I'll go to the cloth. We got time for both. Um, so the lightning one, that can be tricky too, but let me see if I can get that one for you. Okay, how would I do lightning or energy blast? Wasn't it? Yeah, let's try it. So an energy blast, let's do that. So uh, let's take like a hand. So we gotta have something projectiling the energy, shooting the energy. So let's just draw a quick hand here, shooting energy. That's my really quick hand. Okay, so this hand's shooting some power, right? So I always do like the radiating energy ball, or whatever it is, where the power is emitting from, and then a blast. And there's just so many different ways to do energy that you really just have to just, again, fill up your sketchbooks with it. Do a variety of things. You could do something like this. You could do the same Kirby crackle stuff like we did up here. Oftentimes I will, so I'll, that's another little quick cheat. Another one is just to have like this energy radiating around the orb part of it. You can do that. I like doing this one too, where the energy is like almost like coming off of it, like those little freaking electricity balls that you'd get from like Spencer's and different novelty places. And you could put your hand up to it and the energy would look like it's kind of radiating up to your fingers. I would just think in terms of that, and if you can get one of those, I would just get one and look at it and drool on yourself. But whatever you want to do, that's up to you. But I would, just kind of look at it like that, as far as like just energy radiating off it. Sometimes you can have like a little strand of power coming off it or whatever. I don't think there's any rules when it comes to drawing this type of stuff. Ball of Doom. Yeah. Is that what it's called? The Ball of Doom? That's pretty cool. All right, so I would just throw in a variety of little things, little textures, and then you get in there and you thicken up some of the lines to make parts of it stand out more. You probably want a little bit like a focused area in the middle, and that'll make for a cool little coloring effect when you go to color it. So I'd do that, and I would just stipple and texture away and play around with it. Pictures like of the sun would probably be cool, and again, space shots. Different space pictures would be great for stuff like this. All right, just reading some of these comments real quick. Yeah, look at Dragon Ball Z for reference. Definitely. That's one powerful hand. Yeah. You know what? It's got some powers radiating. It's cool. It was always like my favorite kind of thing. I always wanted to draw a character with all these powers, and then I turned around and made my character pretty much doesn't have a whole lot of powers. It's kind of weird. I always draw these characters with these immense powers, and then my character is just really kind of a tough badass type. Let's see, smudge tool, liquefy. Yeah, liquefy is great for power effects. Yep, and if you missed it, I see people chiming in saying, "Oh, I missed it." All this will go right to the channel, so you'll still be able to see it. Just won't have the comment ability or whatever. But and hopefully over time, if I can get a schedule and I'm going to try to do these every Wednesdays at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if it develops a following, cool, we'll keep rolling with it. If not, I'll just keep posting the videos. So we'll just have to see how it goes. Okay, and what was the last one? It was cloth, right? So let me get these out of the way. And I'm probably going to start posting these finished samples of art to my my Patreon page, just so you guys know. You know, keep in mind I got a Patreon page to support the work here, and also Gumroad. So both of those kind of help me keep producing this stuff. Sorry, I had to say it. I had to do it. All right, so cloth. Let's see. Cloth can be tricky. I've been actually studying it more and more lately. I think it's one of those things that you got to study all the time because there's just a lot of little things that it does that's kind of tricky to draw in there. So I'll show you how I do it. So you've got pinches where the cloth kind of bunches up. You've got folds where the cloth goes around the object. And then it also does this kind of, I'll draw it off to the side to illustrate it even further. It does like this, essentially. I mean, you don't want to redo that all the way through your artwork, but that's definitely a repetitive pattern right there that you'll see in cloth. So a lot of times when, Mario, just to let you know, Patreon is just like a way to support the work, and then I give out different rewards for following me on there. So, so doing the stuff like this, you basically just look for the patterns, and then you figure out a way to shade them. So, like essentially, like right here, there'd be a shadow here, more than likely, and you want to show that the effect of it actually rounds around. So it goes like a rounded bump, recesses in, rounded bump, recesses in. So that's why it's so tricky, because it's actually these compounding curves that are going on, and then you try to get in there and shade them, and it gets all confusing. So the things I look for is this repetitive pattern here, the fact that when it goes around the edge, it looks like this generally. It'll go like this, and that's how you usually see a bump around your sleeve or whatever. It'll kind of dissipate right here. It'll create a harder line there, and then a line down. Not every time, but these are just things I look for so that I can make the drawing process a little bit easier. And then when it bunches up in a sleeve area, say the arm's raised up, it'll do all kinds of stuff. So there it gets kind of tricky, but you can also be a little bit messier right there because it just kind of bunches up, and it's not really that hard to draw bunched up material. The hard part, I think, is the stuff up here. So you get this right, start filling in the shadows. You want to do some lines that break off because you don't want it to look too rigid. So you do a little bit of shadowing. You want to get that crisscross effect in there because that's something you'll see in almost all material. And then the other thing that makes this stuff tricky is that the different materials are different thicknesses. So leather is going to have larger versions of the same effect. They'll all do the same pattern, but thinner materials will do a tighter kind of almost like this effect down here. And then thicker materials are going to do this larger series of patterns. So hopefully that makes sense, but that's kind of how I look at it. And then now I'll quit trying to explain it and see if I can draw it, because this doesn't look very convincing. But I'm trying to convey more of the idea of what I'm thinking when I try to construct this stuff. The cowl of Vader. Nice. Gotta hop out. We'll watch the rest. The stream's right. Oh, yeah. Thanks, Dave. Appreciate you stopping by, bud. Yeah, let's see. How would I get this part right here? Yeah, and the other thing, I think it rolls back and into itself a bit. So I'm trying to get that part in there. And then obviously darker materials, you're going to fill in a lot of this stuff. So I usually get most of the shapes in place first, and then I'll figure out if it's a dark or a light material, and I'll get in there and start shading pretty heavily or whatever. Yeah, so this is another one I got to study even further, because it's like it's just always tricky to get just right. But when in doubt, study some reference. Yep, see you later, Pillowhead. Appreciate you stopping by. And let's see, it's probably good at this point to define the light source, which I would say is back here. So let's get through here and define a shadow. Yeah, and while I got you guys here, let me know too what you think would make for good live streams. Like, I mean, I know we're addressing a couple things right now with this, but let me know like what you think would make the ideal live stream. What topics you'd like to see covered, what you think would be fun. I even thought about one where I do a complete speed drawing, but then narrate over top of it, and you guys can chime in and we can speak about the process of the drawing. So I want to think outside of the box and come up with some new stuff. If you guys got any ideas, I'm all ears. Capturing action within a panel. Longer, but you say it's hard for you. Longer video, like longer than an hour, you're saying? How to draw armor, maybe. Okay, them are all good ideas. Yeah, really, you guys think that longer? Because it just seems like if videos are over an hour, no one's gonna... Are you saying longer so it'll allow more people to stop in? Yeah, video on back muscles, that's a good idea. That's always a tricky one. Ideal live stream, straw poll for what the most requested topics are. Do those. Also show a start to finish drawing of something. Okay. And you're saying yeah to a longer one. Man, I can't believe anybody want anything longer than an hour. Yeah, it just gets a little bit tricky too because I gotta mediate it with time for the family and all that good stuff. It's like I could try to pick a day where I could do a longer one and then pre-promote it or something. It really just gets tricky to draw and look over at the comments as well. I almost thought about having somebody sit in. I don't know if I'll switch to Twitch or not. I don't really know the benefits of either or. Like why would somebody do Twitch when they're already on YouTube? I just picked YouTube because I figured it'd be easier for you guys to see what what was going on. All right, so does that cover cloth? I know it doesn't look entirely like I was going for, but let's see, what else can I cover real quick? We're at 58 minutes. Nice. Thanks, William. Appreciate you stopping by. Yeah, I think I will stay on YouTube. I mean, unless there's a really great reason to switch to Twitch, I don't really know why I would. Yeah, Kolvich says he hates Twitch. It looks wet. Yeah, I know it does. Like the material doesn't look as flowing as it should. Yeah, that's the other problem with trying to draw things on the drop of a dime. It's like some things when you're not in the zone, it's good to pull from reference and check out some things. All right, so what was one of the other requests real quick? Layers and blending modes. I can't really show you that with what I'm doing here. We could save that for a digital painting demonstration. So let's do armor was one of them. I can do a quick armor piece. I've been doing a lot of armor lately anyways. So armor, the way I'll generally do that is I'll come up with a shape of some kind. We'll say that this is going to be a shoulder piece. So I'll define a weird little shape of some kind. We'll say like this. Let's give it some spikes because spikes are cool. And the other thing I think makes armor look cool is, we'll do like a strap right here or something, is lots of like trim work. My favorite program for drawing, just for the drawing aspect, is actually what I'm using now, Sketchbook. My favorite program for painting is a mix between Mango Studio and Photoshop. And my favorite program for inking and doing a complete comic is Mango Studio, which I know that's a bit confusing, but it's just the way that it is. They each do something a little bit better than their other counterparts, so that's kind of why I do that. The reason I like sketching in Sketchbook Pro is it feels very natural and responsive. So I don't think I could ever paint in this program, but as far as just sketching, it's pretty good for that. So basically, like, yeah, if I did something like this, I'd probably give it some separation. I think that's one of the things that makes armor look cool is if it's got a lot of little, like, designs to it. So, like, maybe there's a piece here. Kind of drawing a blank on the shape, but usually something will come to me if I just keep messing with it. So I might do something like this. Maybe separate this. Maybe add a little bit back here. Maybe another spike right here. Something like that. Maybe some like rivets across here. I don't know. I basically just kind of keep maneuvering stuff like this until I get something that I think looks all right. World Breaker Hulk shoulder piece. Nice. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't get much into the World Breaker series. I love Hulk. I love that character, and I love the alternate storylines they were doing. I just didn't particularly pick up on that one, but I did watch one of the animated series, and it seemed pretty cool. So I should probably get in there and grab some of the books and check her out. That's always been one of my favorite characters is Hulk. So yeah, I would just kind of, get as much in this in the rough stage as I can like this. Define a bunch of little, since this one's more on textures, I'll go ahead and start texturing this to show you what I would do there. Do I use the trackpad? No, I don't know. Well, I don't know what a trackpad is, so apparently I don't use it. What exactly is that, by the way? Yeah, I'm using a Cintiq with Sketchbook Pro. And so a lot of times I'll get in here and try to do as much like little added details so it doesn't look so flat. That's what all this stuff is. Like when I try to add ridges to the outer piece, and I'm just trying to figure out something that it won't look so boring. Because it's just so easy to go with the first shape you do and not add to it. But then you don't ever get anything that looks like really killer. You gotta keep nitpicking it and moving things around to really come up with something that you're proud of, I guess. I noticed that on a piece I'm working on right now. I'm doing this science fiction piece, and I kind of started off doing what I always do, and it was looking boring, and I just wasn't that excited about it. And then I just started adding more and more detail and changing things around. I think it's heading in a pretty good direction now, so I'll be uploading a video of that one pretty soon. Yeah, sorry you missed most of the live stream. But it'll be uploaded to the channel, so you'll be able to catch it. So yeah, sorry about that. It's gonna pretty much be Wednesdays at 5 p.m. So, well, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So depending on where you're at. Alright, so I'd get that in there like that. I'd start to grind it up a bit. Add some scratches, some imperfections. Probably soft erase this down and refine it a bit. Figure out where my eraser is. Oh, there we go. So then I soft erase it down, try to clean it up. Let me read a couple of these. Alright, I'm just trying to read some of these. Yeah, layer blending modes in the future. Yep, I'll try to do that. Chief Anator says, anyone else that think the shoulder pad looks like ones from Mad Max? Yeah, it could be. I just watched that. That was actually an awesome movie. You're seeing the newer one, right? Yeah, I was really impressed with that movie. That was probably one of the best I've seen in a while. So it's possible that I'm pulling some inspiration from that. Yeah, I seen somebody mention in Manga Studio. I wish I could get it working. I'm gonna have to call tech support and see what's going on there, because I want to definitely do some of these live streams with Manga Studio. It's one of my go-to programs, and I don't know what the deal is. I can't get it to run right, show me the right windows as I'm live streaming. So it's pretty frustrating. Which, I mean, I enjoy drawing in Sketchbook, but you know, Manga Studio, I'm pretty much doing more and more with that all the time. So I want to be able to show that one as well. Yeah, Fury Road was awesome. I was gonna say Fury Road, but yeah, Fury Road was amazing. It was. I can definitely see why it cleaned up at the Oscars. They hit the nail on the head in so many ways with that production. So yeah, so I just get in here and try to clean it up, noodle around, and keep moving the lines around until I get them in the right spot, and keep refining it. Nintendo Bits asks, when do you put the thinner and thicker lines in? Generally, I like I'm inking right now to kind of explain that. Generally, thicker lines will go on the bottom of the design where the shadow is. But the other thing is, you just want lines to be thick to thin randomly around your design. Sometimes they call it. I've heard it referred to as movement in the lines, which, you know, I don't know if that's really what you'd call it, but basically it just helps the design pop off the page. So a lot of it, I would say, is more of a style choice, but what I would mainly make sure that you do is put good thick lines around the perimeter of your entire design and thin it up in areas where light's hitting it. So for instance, if you're going to do it on the backs of these spikes to make them pop out, you could do them all across here. You could do it thicker, like that. And see how I can even make it thicker as it gets to the bottom to show that the spike gets thin to thick. See that? And then on the other side, I could take a real small eraser and I could thin up the line, and then I could do a couple little line breaks. See that? And all that does, it makes it look like light's hitting the very spike of that, or tip of that spike. So it's really just that way of thinking that you do all around your artwork. And that's how you get your, so it's a mix of style, and it's a mix of showing where shadows are and the weight and the thickness of an object in the illustration. But I would say mostly just make sure that you put nice heavy lines around your objects. And then if objects are closer to the camera, so say you got this shoulder piece real close to the camera, but you got this little tree back here or whatever. Here's a tree. There's a tree. I swear, everybody, that's a tree. You make the lines on this tree back here really light and then broken quite a bit. And that helps push this object really close to the viewer. So it's just things like that. So hopefully that answered your question there. Yeah, and that's what it is. If your inking's looking flat, that's really the part you need to work on. The other thing is good shapes of shadows. Nice heavy shadows in your work will really propel it off the page. A lot of people just give everything this nice little thin even line work around their entire illustration. And if you've got a good colorist, then you could probably get away with that a little bit, but you need it to be, you need those shadows to really make things jump. So like right here, if there's a shadow, if I kind of keep the consistency of this spike, there's going to be a shadow here. And then I have to kind of envision, what the shadow would do against the material like this. What don't you understand? Sorry, I just noticed that comment. I don't understand, but okay. Did you not understand the way I explained doing the shadows or the line work? And if there's a certain thing that you don't understand when I'm covering it in these videos, make sure to just drop a comment in the section below when the video goes live, and I'll be able to address it or maybe point you to another video. I've got lots of videos on various topics, so if you actually search the channel, you might find what you're looking for. And if not, I can direct you to something just to, maybe it's not even my video. Like, 10 Bits is mentioned, and Draw with Jazzy. He does some really great videos as well. So if I don't have a particular video on a topic covered, check out his channel. He might have it. There's some good ones on YouTube here, so there's always some information you can find help on if I'm not, teaching in a way that you're understanding. So yeah, just repeating this process of kind of texturing it and getting a little bit of effect in there. So you see I'm kind of just, I am just repeating what I'm doing to each spike. I kind of have a problem with that. Like, you should vary up things a bit because they're not going to probably all be identical. But it's, on something like this, I think it makes a little bit of sense. But you just don't want to get in the habit of doing the same exact thing throughout your entire piece. You want to vary it up a little bit. Oh, and I do want to address this. Some people will say things like, how do you get a clean line? Keep in mind that in Sketchbook Pro, they do have these, where are they at? Right here, French curves. So what you do to use these are kind of tricky, but you get the hang of them after a while. You rotate them into place, move with this middle icon, and you cycle through them, or you resize them a little bit bigger to get the curvature that you want. And then what happens is the line that you draw will stay right on the edge of that French curve, so you can move that around. And the trickiest part is knowing the angles of it and getting them into place. But if you have a hard time getting a clean line, you can do some pretty neat stuff with these. So hopefully you can see that, but whoa. Yeah, spikes are always fun to draw. And then this part right here, I don't know what I was seeing right here. It's kind of boring, but I'm just going to go with it because this video is already getting pretty long. But I'll just, all I was trying to do is really make this separation piece right here, just so the shoulder piece didn't look so boring. So I'll do that to just kind of mix it up. You know, maybe put some little studs or something on there, or rivets or whatever they're called. And put a little drop shadow on these. I don't know. And then the other thing I try to do is mix up the materials. So like, you know, you got spikes that look all shiny and steely or whatever, and then maybe right here this is all kind of maybe a leather, textured leather or something. So I'll get in there and just kind of grunge that up a bit. This is more something I would generally paint than draw like this, but it's all the same idea really. You can pretty much draw whatever you can paint and vice versa. Just have to approach it a little bit differently with the line work. Yeah, I did a video with Jazz, God, a month or two ago, a couple months back. That was pretty cool. I was actually pretty impressed that he accepted my offer, because his channel is huge. You know, he could have been like, no, you meager individual, or you, what was I trying to say? You mere mortal is what I was trying to say. But yeah, his channel is huge, and he responded and was game to do it. So I was pretty happy, and it was very nice of him. I was quite honored. Actually, when I sit there and doodle, I just kind of let it go. Like I just start scribbling around. Sometimes I go in with a really strong preconceived notion, but sometimes I just, well, like how you put it, doodle. You know, sometimes I doodle, and I scribble kind of like what I'm doing here. And I'll tell you the truth, even just from scribbling this for you guys, I came up with a few ideas of stuff I would like to draw, because I've lately been inspired to do more of this type of battle armor and you know, weapons and things like that. So this was actually kind of fitting, but this is how I get motivated to do stuff like that. So I'll just basically start drawing an element, something small. It doesn't have to be this entire complex scene. I think that's where people, not everybody, we're all different, you know, in the way that we create, obviously, but you don't always have to go after this monster scene and this crazy epic scene. You know, you can start with just sketching some stuff like this and get warmed up, and ideas will generally start to flow. At least that's the way that I find it, you know, to work. So other times I might watch a really awesome movie, and yeah, I want to draw whatever is similar to what I saw in that movie, and I get really motivated by it. And other times I'm told to draw by somebody, and I have to find inspiration, even if it's non-existent that day. That can be tricky, or motivation, or whatever. Actually, Zach says, if I'm doing a close-up on a face in a comic style, do I need to worry about adding shading? Not really. I mean, generally, you know, shading on a face for comics is more to do like drama, you know, to add drama, to draw, you know, shadows on the face, to make the expression stand out more. But you'll see a lot of comics where they almost never shade the face. So it's really a matter of choice. And then it's a, you know, obviously if it's a dark scene in the comic, then yeah, you're going to want to add shadows, or it's going to look silly. But I notice a lot of comic book illustrators that just refuse to put shadows on the face. So I think it's a matter of choice and style. Yeah, so there I would just keep, adding different bits of texture, and I would really focus on trying to make the different materials stand out from one another. So that's kind of how I look at texturing when I do stuff like this. And then some added line weight around the edges to really make it pop out. I usually go around all my illustrations at the very end and check line weight and just really thicken it up in some areas to make it pop or whatever. Yeah, so, all right, it's getting pretty long. It's like an hour and 20 minutes, so my girlfriend's probably going to kill me. Any other ideas or any questions? I don't want to get into drawing anything else because it's already pretty late, but any ideas for the next one? I guess I'll take kind of a request thing that we'll just pick something now maybe. And then also, you guys are alerted for the these videos, right? You get alerted to know that I'm getting ready to start or whatever. But other than that, it'll be Wednesdays at 5 o'clock when they're being released, and that's Eastern time. Yeah, Manga Studio is a good starting program. I mean, it's a great starting and ending program because it does everything. Muscle structure, okay, yeah, that's a good one. We could possibly approach that next week so we can get into muscles. Yeah, I got you, Garrett. Muscle structure. Okay, Nintendo likes that as well. Okay, so yeah, how about that? Next week we'll go after muscle structure. Maybe we'll do some arms and legs and things like that. And yeah, so at any rate, I appreciate everybody stopping in today and watching the videos. They will be on my channel afterwards, shortly actually. So if you know anybody wants to watch them. And keep in mind that I do have a Patreon to support the channel here, and also a Gumroad page with my digital content, which also helps me keep staying at, doing this right here. So if you like it, support. If not, cool, whatever. I appreciate you just stopping by and watching. So it's my pleasure, and we will talk to you soon. So keep drawing, keep having fun, and bye for now.